have a grandmother working for me. She retired and she's still with me. Mrs. Koba, she's a lawyer.
He'll be speaking from his seat because this. So, Your Excellency, sir, it looks like he prefers to come to the podium. What a respectful. Thank you very much, sir, for your exemplary leadership. We appreciate you. If I wear in your shoes, I'll keep clapping because I elongate my life each time I clap. If you don't know, now you know. Your Excellency, the President of the Senate, sir. Thank you very much.
I congratulate you on the affirmative action and 30 years of Beijing. Congratulations to all women in Nigeria. Very long list of protocol, but because of time, I will have to shorten it. Starting from the Deputy Senate President, my brother, Senator Barao Jibrin, the leader of the Senate, Femi, Deputy Majority Leader, Distinguished Senator Nweboyi, with me in the 8th Senate, and I never harassed her. Distinguished Senator Uche Kunive, who also served with me. I even went to her house when she was having a chieftaincy title. I think I've visited your home more than once or twice, and there was no time I harassed you. And I have a distinguished Senator Stella Odoi and my Amazon, who was with me in the minority leadership in the 8th Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, distinguished Senator Biodun Olujimi, herself, a former deputy governor of the state. These are women very close to my heart. I congratulate all of you. The President of the National Council of Women's Societies, my dear sister Neobi, representing all the other fighters for the rights of women in Nigeria. My sister, who has refused to tell the truth, the Honorable Minister of Women Affairs, my distinguished sister Iman. You only mentioned that the Senate, under my leadership as Chairman of National Assembly, increased the budget of your ministry by 1,000%. Am I right? 1,000%. That's the only thing she mentioned. But she did not mention to you that when she appeared to defend the budget, before the Senate, it was a woman who walked her out. It was a female senator who walked her out. That she did not come prepared. That the other male senators pleaded with the female senator that they should allow her to present the budget. She had another function to go from Mr. President in Lagos, but the female senator insisted that she was, the way she started was disrespectful to the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that she needed to walk out of the venue. All pleas and entreaties ended on deaf ears, and she cried out of the Senate on that day. I had to call her to tell her that that does not represent us. And the woman that walked her out of that committee was the distinguished Senator Natasha. she didn't want to go personal. But you see, we are talking about character. So for me, I just want to point out that your attitude determines your altitude. I'm saying this because I saw a lot of Yokopas up there. One day we'll have a female as Senate President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. You know, Crystal Magnum, who falsely accused 3 Duke University lecturers, lacrosse players, lost her lawsuit against the 3 men and had to apologize. And this was said to have happened in 2006 in the United States of America. Our women must rise above pettiness. At the news, National Institute of Legislative and Democratic Studies. Last year, as soon as I came in as the Senate President, I directed and we convoked a conference on women in governance. That was in August 2023. And then we instituted and created a division in the Institute known as Gender Inclusivity Unit, essentially to support the drive for inclusivity as a major project for women in Nigeria to be included in the politics of this country and in all areas, fields of human endeavor. The 9th Senate had about 9 senators out of 109. But the 10th Senate has just 4 women out of 109. As we celebrate this Women's Day, we must ask ourselves, how come the number is depleting despite the advocacy instead of increasing? I know my sister and nobody did not want to go into details, but certain things are avoidable. We must look inwards. Women should not always weaponize the agenda. It is not in all instances that you use your gender as a major weapon for sentiments, as a weapon for pity. I have 4 daughters. I have a wife. And I was raised by a woman who lost her husband at the age of 22. My late mother died in the year 2000. And she was the only father I knew. She raised me well. She raised me well. I cried for over 1 year when she was gone. I don't want to, if I speak too much now, many of you will say that I'm saying I had no shoe. So I'm not going to go into that. But just to say that sometimes when I watch television or social media, I will turn and ask my wife, are they talking about me? And then she will say, I don't know, I can't tell. I'm just listening to them. My daughters know how caring a father I am. My wife knows how loving a husband I am. I won an award as the most women-friendly governor in Nigeria. It was not for nothing. I appointed the first female deputy governor in my state when I was a state governor. I appointed 3 chief judges of my state, and they were all women. All of them were women. I created opportunities for women in my cabinet, many of them, and even in the House of Assembly. The chief whip was a woman. So many of them. The deputy speaker. Then here I am. The head of service was a woman. The two that I appointed were all women. Then I come to federal level. I work with my colleagues who are here, who can testify. And my sister, Marcy, which sounds Igbo-ish, she can testify. We used to call her the paragon and the beauty of the 8th Senate. But at no time was she ever molested. She was never harassed. In fact, if anybody were to harass her, she is the one that would have harassed me. Because by the time you win election to the Senate, you are almost a man. And you come there to defend the rights of the girl child, children in secondary school and in universities who are being daily molested by lecturers. As a student union leader, I had occasion to walk into a professor's office and then warn the professor that you see what will happen if so-so girl does not pass your course. And after passing the girl, he will come down to see me, call me out of the class and said, go and ask her, she had B+. I said, why didn't you give her A? So, because they threaten girls, sometimes they will write examination and their paper will suddenly miss. And the man will say, see me in the office. So I've been a great advocate for the rights of women. I'll remain so till the day I die. So, you should have brought up the issue that is making the rounds. Have you ever wondered, did you take stock when you were with me, when you came to see me with your women leaders? Did you ask me, when did this issue happen? It's only yesterday that I realized that what we are talking about happened only after the change of seats in the Senate. That is when hell was let loose, and all sorts of allegations came up. Only after the change of seat in the Senate and change of committee, which my senators know happen from time to time. Said to have happened on the 8th of December, a day to my birthday, which was celebrated in the stadium in 2023. So from 8th of December 2023, I never heard, my wife never heard, no Nigeria never heard, even the husband never heard any issue of sexual harassment until our committee was changed, and then our seat was changed, and she went on. Have you ever wondered the trauma caused by that same woman on the other people she had accused in the past? None has been proven so far. You've not wondered. Do you even wonder the trauma caused to the 10th Senate and the image of the Senate with all these useless allegations? I've refrained myself from making a statement. Look at these beautiful women. They've come across me so many times. Have I ever harassed any of you? Or is the person thinking that you are not beautiful? So I don't want to dwell on that. But let me just say that time will tell. If we are in court, the court will decide. My other sister, the one they sometimes refer to as Joy Nuni, I like to mention her name because she'll be hearing from my lawyer anytime in the next 1 week. Crime never dies. When I received a letter from the late Abakari, Chief of Staff, that the certificates were questionable and she did not do national youth service, I wrote to the NYC. The NYC responded, and so I quickly changed her before it became a scandal. As soon as she was changed, hell was let loose. She first said, oh, Akpabio wanted me to swear to an oath of allegiance in the villa. And then they told her that the whole villa is wired. She said, what do I say? The next thing she came and said, he tried to touch me, and I slapped him. I'm the first woman in Niger Delta to slap him. So Ruben Abati now said, is it like sexual harassment or rape? She said, no, not rape, maybe something like that. I said, what? Is it sexual harassment? She said, yes, sexual harassment. That's what you want me to pursue. So that I will go and tell the world that she was parading fake NYC certificate, then I will tell the world that she committed perjury. She lied under oath. And yet I have 4 daughters, and I would like to protect their image. Since people have decided to go into the gutter, let's all go into the gutter. Let's bring out everything so that you see why women also have to note that their attitude will determine their altitude. We can increase the number of women in parliament by our own, by preventing the idea of weaponizing gender. The woman should not be looking at herself as a weaker sex. My second daughter is a very strong woman. She has got her master's, she's doing her PhD right now. She's very strong, probably stronger than me. And she disagrees with me. Deep inside me, sometimes when we argue, and she says, "Daddy, you're wrong," I would tell her, "I'm older than you." She said, "Don't use age here." So I'm very proud of my children, and I know that they will do well amongst you. Let's talk to ourselves. Listen to the minister. The minister just suffered from a fellow woman. Put up a woman in any senatorial district today for Senate. Other women will go and vote for the men. You will never vote for yourself. So let's start by questioning you. How come you don't elect your own? Because when the minister was speaking, the minister said that women constitute 51% of the voting population in Nigeria. So why then are you taking the backstage in terms of political representation? Women will never vote for themselves. So ask me, if a woman does not want to vote for a woman, am I the one that will force the woman to go? But we have a solution. I've traveled around. I've seen what is happening in Tanzania. I've seen what is happening in South Africa, Malawi, and so many other countries. They have a certain percentage constitutionally reserved for women. But what they do is that they do it through appointment, particularly in United Arab Emirates and other countries, including Somalia. They put a percentage for women in parliament. And then after the election, those women are added to the number, and they enjoy equal status with the men. Because sometimes, because of religious differences and all sort of issues, women find it difficult to even aspire because their husbands may sack them from the homes. So they make those provisions. We are discussing that in the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. If it means tinkering with the act to enable women, the Electoral Act, to enable women to have solid say in the parliament, we will do so. Women are better managers. I can say that women are better managers. But sometimes women can be harder than men. Yes, when they take decisions, they take decisions. But they are very prudent in all aspects of life. If you didn't manage us well, we won't even get here. That's a simple truth. Imagine if it was my mother that died and my father was 22 years. Will I be a Senate president today? Because my father would never be at home. But my mother stayed at home and tutored us, suffered, did all sorts of petty jobs, took us through the Civil War, and brought us to where we are. May I so rest in perfect peace. So mine is to assure you that on this Women's Day, I pledge before you that the National Assembly will work closely with all the women leaders. When I met my sister, I used to admire her and her afro hair on television. And at the time I thought she was working for INEC, such a great woman of integrity. She came with a lot of other women, and I saw them, I was amazed. I said, immediately they called me and said they wanted to see me. I said, come now, come now, come now. And under 40 minutes, I met with them. Because an innocent heart has no qualms and has nothing to fear. But so let me salute our daughters, salute my dear wife, Ekaite Unamagos Akpabio. And salute all the women. The battle is just beginning. We must go back to where we see upward movement of women in all spheres of life. That is the only way I'll have hope and fulfillment, that I've left solid legacies behind in politics, because I've created opportunities for my children, 4 of them are women, to rise to the zenith of their professions in future. We must condemn all issues of sexual harassment that are not fake. We must tell women not to use tears to look for sentiment when they are making false accusations. We must also let women know that governance is not about vanity. So if a common seat can cause the kind of ulubalo, and then you ask why don't you want to move from the seat, and somebody sits on television and says that is the only place that the camera catches me where? Are we doing beauty contests in the Senate? It's a serious place. It's not a place that you come to look for camera to catch you. But we have left room for reconciliation.
Thank you.
So I'm here today with my colleagues because one woman refused to surrender. Even when my father succumbed to the pangs of death, she stood tall against the winds of misfortune. They told her to choose a husband amongst my uncles, and she said she had a son who was 6 months old, that she had chosen to marry that son, since the son was part of that family. So she married me when I was 6 months old and refused to marry any other person. To the greater number of Nigerian women, as we swing the doors open for you and we put opportunities within your grasp, let it be known that your character, your integrity will be required as you move forward. The fight of the Nigerian woman will not be won by those who seek vanity for vanity's sake, but those who understand the burden of and the responsibility and the weight of leadership entrusted upon them. We need women who will not bicker over trivial things, the women who will go out there with courage to remain role models to future generations. The 10th Senate under my leadership is pro-women. We have given the nation a pledge to revisit and support all gender equality bills which suffered many rejections in previous Senates. The special seats I've just discussed with you, we are proposing that. That came up, I think, in the 9th Senate, but this time around, it will become a reality. We must make this happen because the voices of our women must be heard. So I want to thank you and thank the organizers for inviting me to come. There's nothing I will say against a woman and win. But let me say that to God be the glory that we have a lot of women here who believe strongly in the legal maxim that says, Odi, Oterem, Patem. Mrs. Olujimi, this is where you belong. Odi, Oterem, Patem. Let the other side be heard. Congratulations on your Women's Day.
Can we give the President of the Senate with all the assurances of gender equality bill and defending the feminine folk at every opportunity, giving a standing ovation with a round of applause. All the women in the hall, let's rise on our feet, including men, and let's celebrate this very great man. I can hear that applause for him one more time. Thank you very much. We We were thinking that could make you stand by here for one special assignment just before we bring this event to a close, Your Excellency. We were going to ask that Bisola Moniz and Honorable Tabitha Ilia would have to make a presentation to you commemorating.
No. Excellency, sir.
It makes sense.
Your Excellency, sir, we the female legislative aides of the 10th Assembly and the esteemed women of our great nation Nigeria wish to express our profound appreciation to you, Your Excellency, my boss, my leader, my father, Senator Dr. Akpabio Vows, President of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, for your unwavering support and endurance towards the women of the 10th Senate and by extension to the great women of Nigeria. Your Excellency, please be rest assured that we stand firmly behind your capable, gender-friendly, inclusive, fair, honest, and dedicated leadership. We look forward to collaborating with you and your leadership of the Senate, of the 10th Senate, to advance our nation, fostering a legislation that is gender inclusive and committed to good governance and progress. Thank you, sir.
Well, for those of you who may not know, Tabitha is from Gombe State, and she works for the Senate President. And Moniz, Bishara, works for the Senate President. She's from the Southwest, she's from Northeast, and the one that you are seeing is Molo. How many beautiful children? How many? 4. So is there any of them in the university?
Yes, 2.
2 are in the university. She's also a senior special assistant to the Senate President.
Be a Nigerian woman. May I start on this note by recognizing His Excellency, the President of the Senate, Dr. Godswill Akpabio, GCON. Thank you so much, Your Excellency. A lot of us came here, we didn't know we were going to sit on this stage. You've left women today, they'll go home dreaming big. Thank you for the opportunity, Your Excellency. May I also recognize the Deputy President of the Senate, His Excellency, Senator Barrow Jibrin, the Malia of our time. You know, in some states, when you're opposition, you feel it, but in Kano State, they don't even know that they're in opposition because they know that they have leaders. Thank you. May I, at this point, also recognize another big brother of mine, the leader of the Senate, Senator Operemi Bamidele. May I recognize all the leaders of the Senate that are here present, particularly the female senators, my chair, Senate Committee on Women Affairs. May I recognize members of the National Assembly that are here present, other members of the National Assembly, my sister, Ene Obi. You know, we always agree, but at this point, I'd like to disagree with you. This is such an interesting time to be a Nigerian woman. It's also a powerful time. Because for the first time in the history of Nigeria, we have the biggest budget, a 1,000% increase. It's never happened in Nigeria before. It means that we have more resources, and without resources, you can do nothing. All of our policies are outdated. Some are even 23 years old. We don't have the guidelines, we don't have frameworks. So with resources, we can be able to reach more women, and we can be able to even galvanize for more and strengthen, you know, domestic allocation next time. I would like to, on this note, to recognize and appreciate Mr. President, His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, for his commitment and show of the highest level of political will and prioritization for all issues that concern women, children, families, and the vulnerable. May I also appreciate the Senate President and also the Speaker and senators and members of the House that made sure that our budget counted this time around. May I, at this point, recognize all the women groups here present that continue to make it count, that continue to speak for other women that are not visible. This is our month, this is our year, and this is our time. It's 30 years of Beijing. Trust me, we have achieved so much. Our 30 years report does not say it, but I can tell you that we have done so well. In Nigeria, we have over 10 MDs of banks that are women. No country can boast of that. In Nigeria, thank you, the past two heads of the immigration, our border, police are women. We've had women rights in the security sector. We've had women in extractive industry that are mining, that are extracting oil. We've had women in governance. I stand in front of you as the only female that's ever been a minister in the police affairs ministry in the world. So you can see a lot is happening in Nigeria. There's still more to do. But in working with concerted efforts, we do not discount the progress that we have made. Because in looking at the progress that we have made, it encourages us to do more. So I like to see things positively. We've done so well and we'll continue to intensify effort to ensure that those seats we're looking for do happen. I would like to recognize Omoyemi, the keynote speaker. You've said it all. Those bills are very important. I would like to also reiterate the importance of us, working on ourselves continuously, making it count, ensuring that we also learn to listen as we speak out for what we believe in. My sister, NAOB, spoke about the recent happenings in the Senate. I cannot leave here without speaking about it, and she put it together so well. It's an unfortunate incident. We'll continue to engage with the Senate to see that they temper justice with mercy. We're all one. We can't do without each other. Women and men, we can't do without our men. We need them to support us, but we just need that, balanced approach to problem solving. Balanced approach to providing solution. Because even children these days are saying that they want to be on the table. Talk about women who represent over 50% of our population. Nigerian women who are leading in every industry. I can commit to ensuring that we continue to strengthen access to finance, access to financial education, access to markets, so that our women are economically empowered, and that way we can be able to do more for ourselves, for our family, and for our beloved nation. I thank you for this opportunity. I would like to thank the Senate for organizing this event, and I wish you all a happy International Women's Month. And I see
this year International Women's Day celebration is not just a commemoration. It is a call to action. It is a reminder of urgent need to expedite efforts on all pending gender parity issues. While we celebrate this progress made so far, we must also recognize that there is still much work to be done. The time to act is now. The time to ensure that every woman has access to opportunity, resources, and voice in decision making is now. The time to create a world where no woman is left behind for lack of economic strength is now. You will further associate that with that. This year's celebration is a celebration of resilience, strength, and limitless potential of women. Again, it's also a reminder that our work's far from over until we begin to put into action the talks to the subject of Belgian Declaration of 30 years ago. It is in this end the entire committee member wish to specially welcome the chief host, President of the Senate, His Excellency Senator Dr. Akpabio, GCON. We say thank you. Your unveiling support for women's development and your dedication to accelerating action on gender-related issues have been nothing short of remarkable. Your leadership has not only inspired hope, but has also laid a solid foundation for transformative change. We also wish to extend our sincere thanks to the leader of the Senate, distinguished Senator Dr. Michael Opeyemi, for your steadfast adherence to the he for she. We wish to use this platform to appreciate and celebrate you for your efforts in ensuring that historic proposed Women's Summit, which will be internationally and advancing the institutionalization of economic freedom for women, and in turn paved the way for greater political inclusion, placing at the forefront all legislative machinery to become a reality. Your vision and dedication are truly recommendable, sir. And to the team member, especially Mrs. Bisola Morris, Special Assistant to the Senate President on Public Hearing and Event Management, Ambassador Tosin, the Head of Gender, Office of the Majority Leader. Thank you all for the dedication and planning of this event. Distinguished guests, as we move forward, I urge you to relax and enjoy every section of today's event. I also urge you to use this opportunity to ignite action, inspire change, and create a legacy of quality that will quality for our generation to come together. We can provide the way for a brighter, more equitable future for all women. Thank you once again. Welcome to 2025 International Women's Day celebration in the Senate. Long live women of our great nation. Long live Senate. Long live Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Which is economic and political inclusion, walk the talk. And I've been given just 5 minutes. That's a very Herculean task. Nigeria stands at a pivotal moment in its pursuit of gender equity and the commemoration of the International Women's Day 2025 under the global theme, Accelerate Action, which offers a real opportunity for critical reflection and decisive action. The sub-theme of this event underscores the urgent need to transition from rhetoric to measurable action. The persistent underrepresentation of women in governance and economic leadership is a matter of social justice. It is an issue with profound economic and political implications. Research has consistently demonstrated that inclusive economies and representative democracies yield stronger, more sustainable growth and stability. As we examine the state of women's economic and political inclusion in Nigeria, it is imperative to interrogate the systemic barriers that continue to hinder progress. These barriers are deeply entrenched in legal deficiencies, sociocultural norms, institutional biases, and economic disparities. I'm going to just quickly look at the numbers and the gaps when it comes to economic inclusion. Women own 20% of enterprises in the formal sector, and this definitely limits their access to economic resources and capital expansion. Women occupy a mere 12% of executive positions in Nigerian banks, despite being major contributors to the financial sector. Women also earn approximately 30% less than their male counterparts for the same work, exacerbating income inequality and financial dependency. And also, only 30% of women have access to formal financial institutions or banking services, restricting their ability to save, invest, or obtain credit. Beyond these figures, women in rural areas who form the backbone of agricultural production remain largely excluded from formal economic structures. I will just quickly move to, what needs to be done. To accelerate economic inclusion, it is imperative that gender-responsive policies are seen as central to national economic planning. Policy reforms must prioritize access to credit, legal recognition of women's land rights to ensure equitable ownership and inheritance practices, enforcement of equal pay policies to address gender wage gaps, and investment in women-led enterprises through public and private sector initiatives. In terms of barriers to full inclusion, a lot of us are familiar with those barriers, but I will just re-echo them briefly. For instance, the Special Seats Bill, which seeks to institutionalize women's representation in governance, has not gained the necessary legislative momentum, despite clear evidence that gender quotas enhance democratic inclusivity. Similarly, the Gender and Equal Opportunities Bill, which aims to establish a legal framework for advancing gender equality, has not been passed into law. This clearly leaves Nigeria lagging behind other African countries that have successfully enacted gender-responsive legislation. One particularly pressing legislative gap is the Sexual Harassment Prevention, Prohibition, Redressal in Tertiary Educational Institutions Bill, which was passed by the House of Representatives and transmitted to the Senate in November 2024. Your Excellency, distinguished Senate President, this bill is designed to protect students in tertiary institutions from sexual exploitation, and it remains unpassed by the Senate, leaving young men and women vulnerable to systemic abuse. The absence of this legal protection fosters a culture of impunity and also carries far-reaching economic consequences for women and girls. And just to provide a bit of context, sexual harassment in educational institutions is an economic and developmental crisis. When women and girls in learning environments are subjected to sexual harassment, the long-term effects extend beyond psychological trauma. They directly impede economic participation, career progression, and financial independence. The case of Iyanu, a 300-level university student, underscores this harsh reality. Iyanu was a promising student excelling in academic pursuits with aspirations of contributing to Nigeria's economy through her chosen field. However, her trajectory was abruptly derailed when she was sexually harassed by a lecturer. When she mustered the courage to report the abuse, she faced retaliation, threats, intimidation, and academic sabotage. Unfortunately, Iyanu had to drop out of school, and this is a real-life story, but of course with a pseudonym. And this reflects the experiences of a lot of Nigerian female students whose economic potential is extinguished by a system that fails to protect them. So the importance of the bill is underscored by its years of time and industry investment by the National Assembly, civil society organizations, student movements, education stakeholders, and the media. I'm glad that the Senate leader is here. He also has his footprints on the bill as the chair of the conference committee that signed off the bill for the presidential assent in 2022. I recall that at the point when the members of the public assumed that it was transmitted to the president's table, Nigerian students across the 6 regions donated 8,000 pens as a symbol of their endorsement and solidarity with the president in case there was a shortage of pens in the villa when he's in receipt of the bill. Unfortunately, the 10th Assembly emerged and the bill tenured out to the 9th Assembly. The failure to pass and enforce this bill and other gender-responsive bills contribute to Nigeria's gendered economic disparities. To accelerate women's economic and political inclusion, legislative action must go beyond symbolic commitments. The Senate must prioritize the passage of the anti-sexual harassment bill alongside other legislations. And in conclusion, we just said the theme is walking the talk. If we're truly committed to inclusion, we must move beyond discussions to tangible, measurable action. And so I call on the Nigerian Senate to pass the anti-sexual harassment bill, to enact the special seat bill for women in governance. There has to be gender-responsive budgeting, and we also are relying on your continuous support as male allies. Your Excellency, the Senate President, distinguished senators, Honorable Minister for Women Affairs, and esteemed stakeholders present here. The theme of this year's International Women's Day, Accelerate Action, is not merely a call for reflection. It is a moral, social, and political imperative. The urgency of this theme compels us to move beyond discourse and commit to deliberate, strategic, and institutional reforms that will transform the landscape of economic and political inclusion for Nigerian women. We cannot, and I'm stressing this, we cannot in good faith celebrate progress while Nigerian women remain significantly underrepresented in governance and leadership. Representation is not a symbolic endeavor. It is the cornerstone of a thriving democracy. A nation that excludes nearly half of its population from decision-making structures compromises the integrity of its governance and economic development strategies. The future of Nigeria depends on the full and meaningful inclusion of its women. We cannot afford the cost of continued exclusion, not economically, not politically, certainly not socially. And then I urge every legislator, policymaker, civil society actor, development stakeholder to move from commitment to implementation. The acceleration of action requires the passage and enforcement of gender-responsive laws, the dismantling of institutional and structural barriers that restrict women's participation, the cultivation of a governance and economic ecosystem where women are not just included but are empowered to lead, innovate, and transform the society. The time for action is definitely now. We must transition from policy inertia to legislative responsiveness, from symbolic representation to substantive leadership, and from commitment to concrete action. Action that is disciplined and well-structured in the correct sequence and prioritization. In the spirit of walking the talk, let us institutionalize the talk and accelerate action. Thank you very much for listening.
We also have to face the reality of our times. We stand tall. When I see the pictures moving, I was really, really happy. when I saw the picture of the Senate President and all the female, senators. And so for me today, last week on Monday, we were training the national women leaders of the 19 political parties. And it came to our notice the issue that happened in the Senate. If I don't bring it to bear, then I'm not worthy of living. We had an opportunity, because I stood there, because we had the Senate, the Deputy Speaker was on, and I said, the women of Nigeria want to go and fight the Senate President for what is happening in the House. He told us to cool down. When you have dialogue, you don't go to the streets. So dialogue first. And somehow we had a senator, distinguished Senator Olujimi, was there, and she said she got a call to the SA. Don't want any break of it. Because all the principal officers in that office, and at the end of the day, we talked to them and asked them to solve the issue. Do we have the right? Should we go on ahead? And we went to Senator Natasha herself. So we've been going through the middle of them, the FIDA national, revisit some of those. I'm not here to propose your rules for you. I'm here for peace. I have been up and down. The last 10 days is like one is not sleeping. We are doing our best. We asked to do our best. One of the things that came to mind, because the issue started from the seat, and then it metamorphosed onto so many undercurrents. And I want to say this afternoon, we'll bring you goodwill message. We have the special seats for women. We need more women representation, because when you're 100 and you are 4 out of 109, you are a minority and disenchanted already. We want more women representation. We hope for a resolution. Again, I didn't give up on the negotiation. Honorable, the distinguished Senator, Your Excellency, I want to say that you should please, my sister is here. She's a young woman, but she's the mother of all the women in Nigeria. Though, we have the mother of the land, but we have her as a champion of women's issues here. She's here, and my brother and friend, Honorable Distinguished Senator Okoyemi, all of you are here. All of you we met. You know what we have been through. But we are still appealing for issues to be sorted. There is no need. But as we are talking, almost about 100 million people below the poverty line. As we are talking, we have the Chibok girls still under captivity. We have Leah under captivity. There is a lot of violence against women and girls. Women are hungry. This is one of the worst times to be a Nigerian woman, because you carry your money to the market. Many of our sisters are hungry. Our children are crying. Let's not distract ourselves. Let's bring peace to the Senate and also to our Assembly. Thank you very much.